Hello everyone, my name is Michael and I want to welcome you back to Sovereign Gaming. So yes, as we continue building out the Sims 3 world of SimCity, which is my custom world here, which goes without saying, but I don't know why I said it. Anyways, today the plan is actually going to be to tackle a unique neighborhood to the downtown core. And I'm sure that you're wondering what that unique neighborhood is going to be themed after. And the answer to that is that I really don't know how to explain it. The theme that I was really going for was some sort of an Asian neighborhood, an Asian inspired neighborhood. And when I look at the different Asian influences in the Sims lore in general, there's a lot to actually draw upon. I mean, in The Sims 4, they did a whole world called Mount Komorebi, if I remember it correctly. And then in The Sims 3, there was Shane Simla, and in The Sims 2, in the Bon Voyage expansion pack, there was an opportunity to travel to the Far East. So there's always been an Asian influence somewhere within the franchise, and I'm sure that there are even like some Sims 1 influences as well. So with that said, the neighborhood is really going to be an Asian fusion sort of theme, because I really only have the Asian assets to work with that were available within The Sims 3. So that's really going to be a mixture of several different cultures, which is something that I really love here. But what that means is that I'm kind of struggling with a name. So by the time that this episode goes out, I'm actually going to run a poll on the community channel just to kind of ask what name it should be, or something of the sort like that. Or maybe I'll run it some other time after I read the comments on this video. Anyways, that message will be upcoming, and I will allow my subscribers and to my viewers as well to really help me to decide on what the name of this neighborhood should actually be. I'm very happy with the way that it turns out, but yeah, I really wanted a name that can really properly encapsulate the different Asian cultures that are used as an influence for this neighborhood, and something that stays true to the Sims lore. For example, maybe there's some sort of a mixture of names like Mount, like Mount Komorebi, but combine it with Shane Simla. It could be like Shane Simorebi or something like that. Maybe that was a really terrible example, but I think you guys get the point there. Anyways, drop your suggestions in the comment section below. I'll certainly take a look at them, and then eventually I'll just run a poll and we'll see what we'll actually want to name the area and the neighborhood. After dropping in the stadium LED signs in the stadium area that I forgot to do in the last episode, I really got reintroduced to the fact that World Adventures came with a lot of amazing assets and a lot of great objects to actually work with within the Create a World tool. And those assets really came true to form in this build, including some of the trees, and as you can see now, the walls that I am using to surround a lot with. So within I'm just going to call it the Far East Square, I suppose. So within the Far East Square neighborhood, I'm not doing a whole lot of lots within it. There's going to be one big lot that you see me surround with the wall there, and that is going to be left as a surprise. I have really big plans for it, and it takes inspiration from a movie that was released in the early 2000s, and that's just all I'm going to say about that. It is going to be a lot that does bring the whole Asian fusion thing really to light, and it is going to be quite stunning, or at least I hope it will be by the time I actually end up editing it. Anyways, I made it a 64 by 64 lot because I'm going to need a lot of room to work with, and I've also surrounded it with or I will be surrounding it with some landscaping as well that really draws upon those Asian influences that we see with World Adventures and with The Sims in general. I don't want this neighborhood to be to be a substitute for visiting Shane Simla in your Sims 3 game. I still want players to have that desire to actually take their Sims on vacation. However, I did want to just kind of give a little taste of what it could be like to visit Shane Simla and to really give like a proper cultural neighborhood into the downtown core. And I feel like I execute this very, I feel like it's executed very well. Of course, like once I am able to export the world and start it in my Sims 3 game, that's when the lot editing will come to light and really just kind of bring everything together. But how I decided to make it different from visiting Shane Simla is I didn't use any of those specific lots. So I believe that there was like a martial arts academy in Shane Simla. I don't have a martial arts academy in the Far East Square neighborhood that I have going here. I might change my mind about that one specifically, but I really want to deter myself from having to place those lots because, again, I really want players to still visit the Sims 3 World Adventures destinations. So that's really the idea here, is just to really use the Asian influences as more of a backdrop for some different urban settings. And of course, I'm going to be placing some different places to live here as well. So I'm very excited for how this is going to turn out. And once I actually start building the lots, it's going to really make everything come together all in one go here. So that was really the idea and my vision for the Far East neighborhood that has yet to be named and will be named by yours truly. Speaking of placing different assets on here, I did actually run into some sort of a glitch when I decided to load up my game to do some experimenting with some lot sizes and all of that. And by that I mean I was trying to build on lots just to see what kind of size of lots I needed for the next episode, because that is actually very important. And I ran into a really weird glitch, and if you've been following me on Twitter, or X, I guess, as it's now called these days, you would have noticed me kind of reach out for help a little bit, just in terms of the Sims 3 store stuff not showing. Anyways, found a really great walkthrough on different ways to troubleshoot that, and it really ended up being just my browser needing to have its history cleared. I have a Microsoft Edge browser. I use Chrome, honestly speaking, just as my default, but I do have a Microsoft Edge browser that I sometimes run to access like Sims 3 stuff, since the Sims 3 stuff is so old that it doesn't really read properly on newer browsers, which is another random fact and a whole other thing that I am not very well informed about, but well, not well informed enough to speak on it except from experiences. Anyways, I did drop the solution that I used as a resource on my Twitter. So if you're ever working in Create a World, the Sims 3 Create a World, that is where you can find that as well. If you find that suddenly your Sims 3 store items are just not showing up in your game randomly, then you can always follow that guide there, and it starts you off with deleting your browser history from Microsoft Edge, which was really the biggest saving grace here. So yeah, just wanted to thank everybody on Reddit for that kind of help and guidance there. Also, as you noticed, I did lower the walls on the surrounding walls of the lot in the Far East neighborhood. And my reason for that is that I wanted the walls and the Great Wall really in Shane Simla to be more impactful. So I wanted to, I really wanted to still give Simmers a reason to visit the different destinations in World Adventures. And another way that I was going to do that is just by minimizing the visual impact of the neighborhood, of the Far East neighborhood. And so I did it just by sinking the walls into the ground further, just to make the walls shorter. And I feel like that kind of helps to not take away the glory so much from Shane Simla from World Adventures. So yeah, that was a choice that I had made, and I also lowered the walls as well because I do want the building that's sitting within that lot to actually be a little bit taller. So there was another reason for that as well. But I also felt that with the different world adventure props that I was using here, that I just wanted to use it in a way that doesn't take away from the intrigue and the splendor of Shane Simla, because the world adventure worlds are honestly very beautifully made, and simmers should still visit those, and I don't want to take away any reasons not to go visit those different destinations. So to talk a little bit about the lots that will be in the Far East neighborhood here, I am definitely going to have a couple of apartment lots. That's what those narrower lots are there for. However, if you have any suggestions of what you would like to see in the Far East neighborhood, definitely drop a comment at this time, because I'd be very curious to hear of any additional suggestions there. Otherwise, the larger lot just to the right of those apartment lots is going to become a karaoke bar. I believe in Showtime it was listed as a live venue, and I am actually very open to listing it as a live venue here as well. And then to the right of that, like in between the street, just kind of bordering the seawall to the south, I'm going to actually use that lot as another residential lot. However, it's going to be very dense, and it's going to kind of take away, it's going to take inspiration from the old city of Kowloon that was found in, that was in China, or well, the region it's located in is actually something that is disputed, but Kowloon was a walled city, and it was a very dense location. And I do have a specific build, a specific Sims 3 build that I'll be taking inspiration from as I do it, but I will again have to leave that little mystery for when we actually get to the world build there. So we have that to look forward to. The only thing that I'm really not sure on is the lot in the top right there, just right beside the road that borders the 64 by 64 lot with all the vegetation. And the reason being is that I'm just not too sure if I want it to return suddenly to an urban neighborhood. I did end up just kind of noting it down in my own private notes as an art gallery. I feel like putting in some sort of a modern art gallery, like modernly designed art gallery, would be appropriate just as a nice little buffer between the Far East neighborhood and the rest of downtown and midtown there. So that was kind of my idea and thought process with that lot. However, I want you to feel free to leave a comment below if you have a better suggestion or a better idea. Now, one thing I will say is don't worry about there not being a fusion lounge within the SimCity build here, because that is certainly going to make its way into the build somewhere within the city. I'm not going to spoil too much there, but I think if you put the clues together, you'll know exactly where that fusion lounge will go. As you can tell, we're just flying through these urban core neighborhoods, and I'm really happy for that at this point, because we do need to pick up a little bit of speed, because we were kind of slow in the beginning towards with the industrial harbor and the neighborhood from there, and that's really because there was a lot of logistics that had to be applied. But as soon as we got into the government campus and finished up that build, which took a lot longer than what I was anticipating, the rest of the build is just kind of coming together. At this point, we're just putting in some streets, doing a little bit of terrain work, and fitting in some lots, and just kind of keeping it moving from there. There will be episodes where I do go back and detail a little more. This will definitely be an area that I detail retroactively as well, and I'm gonna save like a whole downtown detailing episode for somewhere later down the line here before we move into the suburbs, so that will just kind of help to finish off the downtown core area. Moving on, I would like to say that for the next episode is actually a very important episode, because we really work on the Midtown and Uptown neighborhoods. Midtown really serving as an extension of downtown, and those are very important builds as well, because they help to taper down the density, just because with any kind of city skyline, like a cluster of towers is usually indicated by a core. However, there are different kinds of heights and all of that kind of goes into it all. So the midtown and especially the uptown neighborhoods are there to help taper it down to more of a mid density. And then after we get through that episode, we'll just have to work on the low income or the starter neighborhood within the downtown core. So yeah, there's quite a bit that's still left to do within the downtown core, so we're not leaving anytime soon. And then plus, if we really want to do a detailing episode at the end of it all, that is certainly something that is on the horizon as well. I'm sure that you guys are annoyed by the streetlights, or at least as annoyed by them as I am getting now. But the streetlights are necessary. I mean, when you go to turn on the world at night, which I cannot do at this time because editing game is blocked for me due to the fact that the game did not like the store stuff that I downloaded. But we already know about that story, so there's no surprises there. Anyways, the nighttime views of SimCity was something that I definitely wanted to take into consideration. I've already explained it, but the downtown core and the downtown island, I suppose that I am going to now call it from now on, is going to be an area that is a lot more well lit up at night. Not only due to the fact that there are going to be those late night high-rise buildings, but also just with the street lights and there just being a need for more illumination within the downtown core. When we move out to the suburbs, the lighting will certainly be a lot less aggressive and a lot more spread out. So there's not going to be a whole lot of lighting situation there. And even when we get to the rural parts of the build, again, the lighting is just going to taper down and yeah, that is really the idea with the lighting at night. But for now, like, because we are in the downtown core, we do have to kind of take the time to really focus on it. And it was something that I really did not want to have to deal with when it comes to the detailing of the downtown episode. That is soon on the horizon, I suppose. Because, yeah, I felt that it was just better to do the streetlights now while I was finishing up areas. But yeah, on the flip side, that just kind of means that I am very confident with the layout and with the road layout as well. But yeah, so yeah, if you're not into streetlights and all of that, well, I'm afraid to say there's going to be a lot more streetlights to come yet so far. But yeah, I think that about does it for today's episode. I just want to thank you for joining me in building SimCity in the Far East neighborhood that has yet to be named. So again, if you have that name suggestion for this Far East neighborhood, drop it in the comment section. And then someday in the future, I'll just run a poll, see what it is, and then we'll actually name it based on what you guys suggest. So yeah, I just wanted to thank you again for watching, and if you've enjoyed the series and if you've enjoyed this episode, then feel free to like and subscribe. Anyways, thank you and have yourself a wonderful day.